The most misunderstood man in modern life is not the one who talks less. It is the one who leaves early. He declines the invitation. He walks out before midnight. He goes home, not because he is afraid of life, because he understands something the crowd does not. Noise is never free. Every room takes something. Every crowd touches your nervous system. Every unnecessary hour among the restless asks for a tax on your clarity. The world sees withdrawal. Stoicism sees command. They call him distant. He is conserving force. They call him antisocial. He is refusing contamination. They think he is missing life. He knows life is not measured by how long you remain available to interruption. He is not escaping the world. He is refusing to let the world define him through constant access. And in an age that worships exposure, that refusal looks almost offensive. Good. Some forms of self-respect were never meant to look convenient. Most men have been trained to confuse engagement with existence. A full calendar means you matter. A crowded weekend means you are alive. A phone that never stops buzzing feels like proof that your life still has gravity. So they keep going. One more dinner, one more gathering, one more room where they must remain easy, pleasant, readable. One more hour of invisible performance. And the price is subtle. A laugh at the right moment. An adjustment of tone. A careful response. A muted opinion. A slight shrinking to keep the atmosphere smooth. Nothing dramatic. Nothing that leaves visible scars. And yet when you come home, something feels wrong. Not broken. Not destroyed. Just edited. Slightly less yourself. Your attention is scattered. Your emotional weather is thinner. Your mind feels like it belongs partly to rooms you already left. This is the exhaustion of modern life. Not that life is too hard. That you are too exposed. Too available. Too permeable. Too easy to reach, shape, interrupt. And because the world calls this normal, most men never question it. They think fatigue is adulthood. They think fragmentation is responsibility. They think overstimulation is a successful social life. But deep down they know something quieter and colder. Too much of the world has entered the house. And now they cannot hear their own thoughts without static. A man of substance loves home because home restores self-containment. Most men do not realize how expensive it is to let the outside world regulate their inner climate. One dismissive tone can steal half a day. One careless comment can follow you home. One room full of shallow energy can leave your mind noisy for hours. Why? Because the event is never just the event. It becomes a referendum. Do they respect me? Did they reduce me? Did I lose status in that room? Did I just become smaller in their eyes? That is where men get hijacked, not by the comment, by the meaning they attach to it. The nervous system hears more than sound. It hears rank, threat, exclusion, comparison. And once the mind begins translating every room into a courtroom, solitude starts to feel less like preference and more like repair. This is the mechanism. External stimulus, internal meaning, physiological shift, behavioral consequence. The room ends. The nervous system does not. That is why exposure accumulates. Not because every event is catastrophic, because every event leaves residue. The sovereign man trains the opposite reflex. Before he reacts, he returns to the internal compass. He asks one brutal question: what do I know to be true about me, even if this room never understands me? That question changes everything. Because once truth lives inside you, other people's tones stop sounding like law. And once a man is anchored there, he becomes difficult to disturb and almost impossible to hijack. When plague emptied London in 1665, Isaac Newton went home. To the world it looked like retreat. A brilliant man stepping away. A life interrupted. A mind removed from movement. History remembers something else. Inside that stillness, an empire of thought was built. This is Stoic power. Not loudness, not visibility, not social heat. Order. Marcus Aurelius understood this too. He did not measure a room by how much it applauded him. He measured it by whether he could remain inwardly governed inside it. The sovereign man does the same. He does not judge a room by its volume. He judges it by whether he can still hear himself think. He does not worship movement. He worships order. And sometimes order requires a closed door. Not because the world is evil, because the mind is costly, because attention is finite, because what is sacred must be guarded before it can be offered. Modern culture is addicted to stimulation. It treats stillness like weakness, silence like social failure, a quiet night at home like evidence that your life has somehow stalled. But a man who cannot be alone is a man who must be governed by noise. That is the truth beneath all of this. Home matters because home is where performance begins to die. No audience, no mirrors, no subtle bargaining for approval, no need to keep translating yourself into something easier for other people to digest. And when the noise falls away, the backlog appears. The unfinished thoughts, the hidden insecurity, the tension you have been outrunning, the old wounds that only speak when the room finally becomes quiet enough. This is why many people fear solitude. Not because solitude is empty, because solitude is honest. The sovereign man stays there. He does not run back to stimulation just because stillness reveals his unfinished interior. He lets silence strip him down until what remains is no longer performance but structure. Then something changes. He stops asking, "How am I being seen?" and starts asking, "What am I becoming when no one is watching?" That is the question that rebuilds a man. Because once a man becomes internally confirmed, he stops begging the world for small permissions. He no longer needs applause to breathe with confidence. He starts to understand that simplicity is not emptiness. It is precision. He says no to noise not because he hates people, but because he understands cost. He knows that attention is finite, that emotional energy is not infinite, that the nervous system can be spent recklessly or invested deliberately. So he chooses the house, the book, the training, the corner of the room where his mind becomes his again, not because he wants less life, because he wants a deeper one. Imagine a stone house at night. Outside a violent storm, wind striking the walls, branches bending, the whole sky restless with motion. Inside, one amber lamp on a wooden table. Steady, silent, unshaken. The foolish man sees the house and calls it absence. The wise man sees the lamp and understands. It is not hiding from the storm. It is being protected from what would extinguish it. That is what home becomes for the sovereign man. Not a cave, not an escape, a chamber of flame. A place where his inner fire can burn cleanly, without the world breathing on it. Picture a blade left in the rain. The steel is still steel, but weather has a cost. Too much exposure, and the edge oxidizes. That is the soul under constant interruption. Not ruined at once, worn down slowly. The house is where the blade is dried, sharpened, restored. The lamp is where clarity regains its shape, and a man who understands that stops apologizing for going home early. You do not need to become a hermit. You need protocols. 1. Audit the leakage. After every social event, ask one clean question. Did that nourish me or fragment me? Do not romanticize depletion. Do not call it normal. Name the cost, because what you do not name you keep paying for. 2. Build the sovereign corner. Choose one place in your home and give it one meaning. No phone, no noise, no social theater, only reading, thinking, training, writing, recovery. Teach your brain that this space belongs to the man you are becoming. Identity grows faster where meaning is repeated. 3. Practice chosen stillness. Sit for 15 minutes with zero input. No music, no scrolling, no escape hatch. Let the restlessness rise. Let the boredom speak. Let your nervous system learn that stillness is not death. That is how you stop needing chaos to feel alive. That is how you teach the body that peace is not emptiness. It is command. Not dramatic, not glamorous, but real. And repeated long enough, it changes the kind of man who walks back into the world. The man who goes home early is not necessarily lonely. Sometimes he is simply the only one in the room who understands cost. He knows attention is finite. He knows peace is easier to waste than to rebuild. He knows too much exposure can make a man spiritually thin. So he protects the sanctuary. He restores his inner order. He returns to the world less hungry, less reactive, less available for nonsense. Let the crowd confuse noise with life. A sovereign man knows better. He knows that when you can live with yourself in silence, you can walk anywhere without losing your soul. If these words found the silence in you, we will meet again on the next road.